Well, as I tell people um, in in the session, and if you're just joining
Oh,
us, hello. Yeah, we're live.
hi.
I tell people
Welcome.
my version of Canva may slightly vary from theirs because mine is I have Pro. I'm not in a K-12 school, so I can't get the K-12 um, Canva, but it's almost identical. It's just that um, again, teachers get it free of charge. So
Hi,
um,
everyone. Thanks for joining us. I see some people popping in with us. We're super excited to have you guys here. We are kind of just getting hyped up about Canvas sheets. So, James and I were kind of just talking about how we are excited to kind of dive in with this. All of you, maybe some of you went to kind of that part one. Maybe some of you are just now joining us for the first time. That's okay too. I'm going to go ahead and drop our session resource link in the chat for you. But we're going to just have a great session. James is going to show us lots of amazing things. So I'm going to let him just kind of dive in, but know that I am here. I'm monitoring the chat, and I'm also going to be jumping in and out, asking questions. If you have questions, I'm going to come in and ask those for you. So make sure you find that chat if you are here with us and let us know if you have questions. But let's just dive in, and we're going to learn about integrating this amazing tool into the classroom.
and thank you for that, Katie, for that introduction. I know in the last session we had check-ins from Ecuador, we had a check-in from Morocco, and then we had
Wow.
some Canadians as well too. And it was a truly international event, so it was really great to have. So yes, please, if you are here, please put in the chat where you are coming from. It is we had a lot of fun in our last session, and I anticipate that when you get out of here, you will be excited about spreadsheets. Katie, whoever says they're excited about spreadsheets, I mean,
I don't know, but Canvas sheets,
CPAs.
just yeah, taking a peek into it though, as an educator, this has made me excited. So I'm excited to see what you're going to share with us today because I just took a small little peek and it got me excited. So hopefully all of you will be excited with us.
Right. So again, my name is James O'Hagan. I am a Logix Academy facilitator. I am located in Racine, Wisconsin. I go by he, him. My where I live in Wisconsin is part of the Treaty of Chicago, and we are on Potawatomi land here, right along Lake Michigan. Katie, in Montana, what kind of land are you on, or whose land are you on, I should say?
So I am from Big Fork, Montana, and I am on the land of the Salish people. And so I'm very grateful to be able to present from their land here as we all kind of connect. And seems like we are connecting to people all over again. Hi, Janet. Thank you so much for joining us from Ecuador. So we are so excited to have you here with us. As you can see, James and I are from very different places as well. And we have another person joining us from Ontario. So, welcome. Thank you so very much. We are so excited to connect with all of you. I love getting to know who's here with us. So, this is great.
And yes, hello again, Janet. And I'm sorry, to the person who checked in from Ontario, you have a very unique Yol Dassis. But if you have a first name you want to drop into chat for us as well, I would love to have a live conversation with you as well too. So if you are looking for whose native land on which you are living, you can go to native-land.ca, so you can check the interactive map and learn about the lands on which you habitate. So please make sure you do that. I would also like to point out that Logix Academy is connected socially. So if you socially, like we're not connected socially in some way, but you can go find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. You can email Logix Academy for info@logixacademy.com. Also, I know many of you. I'm a huge user of LinkedIn. So if you are wanting to connect on LinkedIn, Logix Academy also has a page on LinkedIn as well too, where you can find all the presenters today who are tagged on that post. You can go in and connect with us if you would like to follow along with our conversations later. Logix Academy provides engaging and comprehensive K-12 computer science education solutions, including robotics, curriculum resources, and professional development. We don't just do Canva. We don't just do Microsoft. We don't just do Minecraft. Ozobots. I've been involved in the Data Dunkers program where we teach data science through basketball. It is a tremendous organization to be a part of, and I am honored to be a part of it as one of the. Actually, you have I think the two American representatives here today of the company. So thank you to Logix for having us here. And again, if you need more resources or help, Logix is who to go through. We also want to thank Microsoft for their generous support of this workshop as part of their commitment to fostering a broader understanding of AI. And I think it's important here to say that Canva does integrate a lot of AI. They are finding that it is becoming a huge component of their resources, but they're not using Copilot as their resource. They're not using OpenAI. They're using Anthropic. But I think what speaks volumes to Microsoft's support is the fact that while it is not a Microsoft product that we are showing today, Microsoft realizes that as educators, we need to find the best tools for what we need. And Canva has chosen to use a non-Microsoft AI for this. And to their credit, Microsoft says that's still important to understand AI in a broader sense. So thank you to Microsoft for that. And Katie, I don't know if you took the digital skills compass test. Did you do that? I did that when we were up in Manitoba, but you weren't there with us. So
No, I haven't done it. What was your score?
I scored very high, but understand too that I've been an educator for over 25 years. I'm working on my PhD in instructional technology and design. So I scored very high. So even if you are somebody, if you take the skills compass test, and that's at skills.ai4sp.org, which is the average score of educators is 36. If you can beat that score, fantastic. But even if you can't, understand too that you being here today and you taking the opportunity to look at that exam critically and assess your skills, do not take that as a slight on yourself. Understand again that you are here on a Saturday, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, no matter where you are in the world watching us. And Allie, thank you for putting your name in chat, by the way. Hello again, Allie. Um, Please do not feel like that is something as a negative on you. Again, you are showing commitment to being here. So please try the digital skills compass test to assess your skills. It is a great way to find out uh, where you stand right now. And again, you are willing to get a little uncomfortable, and that's great. So there is nothing when Katie asked me if I could run one of these sessions, and I said, well, what sessions are you looking to have people run? She specifically brought up a spreadsheet session. And there is nothing I find more fascinating than spreadsheets because they seem like the most simple things that people almost take for granted. But those of us who are of an older generation probably remember when spreadsheets came out, they were a huge deal. Like being able to take data, put it into cells, analyze it, get averages and things like that. That was a huge thing. But for a lot of kids, especially, spreadsheets are probably one of the most boring things they ever have to look at in a day. Would you agree with that, Katie? I mean, you probably look at a lot of spreadsheets throughout your day, but have spreadsheets ever been really exciting to you in any way, shape, or form?
No, it's been more just of a tool that kind of processes data and helps identify different parts of data.
Hmm.
So I would say probably not.
Well, I want you to think about this question. What would your students understand better if they could see the data, not just read it? So, as educators, I want you to imagine a classroom where your students don't just read their data, but they understand it. What if they could see that data visually? This transforms learning from a passive activity into an interactive experience. And I want to emphasize this. When students can visualize information, it enhances their comprehension and retention. For a lot of them, they can grasp concepts that are complex much more easily. Again, think about how much deeper could learning go if they could engage with their data dynamically, like really, and not just as we're talking about, things in an ethereal sense. I'm talking about like stuff that they own, stuff that they understand, stuff that they can analyze. about themselves. That's a huge opportunity. So today we're going to explore tools that are going to help us achieve this. So again, get ready to shift from static charts. We're going into a more vibrant, engaging tool set that facilitates not just understanding, but storytelling and reflections in our classroom. Are you ready to do this with me? Katie, are you good?
Yes, absolutely. Let's go. And I love that we have some of our participants joining us, sharing their thoughts. Janet said, "Where are we? What can we improve?" And Allie loves spreadsheets. So thank you so very much.
Well, so again, let's consider that question. This question, how can we turn, this is the big question, how can we turn spreadsheets from static charts into tools for engagement, reflection, and storytelling? So um, let's get into it. So today's plan, and as much as I like to call it a plan, realize that again, because as Janet and Allie will probably say in chat, I did not get into everything that I thought I would with the Visual Studio presentation earlier. But I think we still had a really important conversation that really flowed based off some of the feedback that we got from people. So as much as this is a plan, this is not going to be necessarily everything that we are going to achieve. This is what I hope to achieve today. Um, I want to explore the features of Canvas Sheets. Okay, so we're going to get very basic about what it is, what it looks like. We're going to do some demos. I want to give you some opportunities to play in Sheets itself. I want you to be able to hopefully create a custom spreadsheet for your classroom, something that is going to be important to you that you can take away and say, you know what, I've been playing with this. And play is, I got to say, play is a key word for me, Katie. When I use the word play, I really mean it, and because I'm a huge proponent that play is important in all of its forms. So I want you to play today as well too. This is a walled garden of digital play, if you will, here, where you have a safe place to try things out, to explore. And again, we're all learning together. And again, I want us to compare and reflect together. So again, we've got somebody from Quito, Ecuador. We've got somebody from Ontario. We've got somebody from Montana. We've got somebody from Racine, Wisconsin. We are going to play together and reflect together from all our different points around the world. So the first thing I want to get into is our first activity is exploring Canvas sheets. Now, this is a perfect example of, I think, where the dynamic tool that is Canvas sheets really immediately comes into play. Um, this is something that I think it visualizes or emphasizes, I should say, a visual first design. Now, when you get into Microsoft Excel or you get into Google Sheets, it's really not visual first. It is utilitarian in a lot of ways. But I want you to picture yourself creating spreadsheets that are not only functional, but visually captivating. I mean, how often is an assessment rubric really visually captivating? They're usually, let's think about rubrics. There's something that we have in our classrooms. They are something that we need. I wouldn't say a necessary evil because they're not evil. I think they're incredibly important, but they're usually very bland, dry. You kind of just make them and then you have them and you look at it. But I want us to think about, again, looking at this one, how you can integrate into this rubric, not just the information, but picture yourself creating an interactive chart, something with images, something with other design elements that will not just enhance the appeal, but also the accessibility of the data that you're able to pull in there. It's really a game changer when we think about just, again, the common spreadsheet and what we can really do with it. Now, again, Canva does have some AI powered features around their sheets. And again, we're going to do a demo here. So this is just a static image right now, just for the introduction purposes. But we are going to get into a demo of this. Tools such as Magic Insights and Magic Charts are designed to offer automated data analysis and visualization. So built into that, because one of the hardest things that I have problems with sometimes actually has been creating charts, getting the data that I want, trying to understand and make sense of what it is that I'm looking at. So what Canva has done is they have simplified a typically very complex process of data interpretation, and it allows you to extract insights without getting lost in the numbers. And so when we discuss its seamless integration with the entire Canvas suite, now we are allowing us, what Canva's allowing is for us to effortless. God, I had problems with this word earlier. Effortlessly embed your spreadsheets into presentations, documents, and even websites, creating a fluid workflow. I have to say, Katie, that I'm working on my PhD right now, and I am living in data. I have to pull numbers, and I'm doing it in Google Sheets. When I saw this tool and the Canva Create keynote that they did, the presentation to launch this, I went, I need to get this ASAP because the way that it was analyzing and being able to create charts and data, I was like, I need to be able to use this for my PhD because it was creating beautiful charts that frankly, again, Microsoft Office and Google have had huge head starts on, and Canva in a very short amount of time said, we can do this better and make it simpler for people to use. So why don't we shift gears a little bit? I'm going to jump in and have us I'm going to do a quick demo, and then I'm going to have something for you all to do as well, because I want you to, again, have an opportunity to play here. So,
And
oh, go
just
ahead, Katie.
one thing that I just want to mention that you highlighted, and it's doing it more simply and sometimes even in the quicker front. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I have taken away from the new Canvas sheets, because I have been using spreadsheets, and similar to you, James, I often have trouble creating those different charts and things that I want to pull from my data. And my experience as I'm learning more about Canvas Sheets is that it is making it faster and easier, and everybody needs that in their life.
Well, and understand too that, again, um, your local control, whether it's you as the teacher or your school board or your school district or your state or your country, may have very specific rules about where you can put certain pieces of data. Don't feel that what I am doing, if you say, like, James, we can't put, for example, student first and last names into, certain fields or documents. We can't put grades. We can't put birth dates into, we can only do it in certain things. I am not saying that you have to put all student data or any part of student data into any of this. I am doing this as examples to get you to think about what you can do and what you're capable of. But I don't want you breaking your local data privacy laws. So as I go through these demos here, please understand that your data privacy laws may vary country to country, state to state, school district to school district, building to building. Please make sure that as we're going through this, you keep those in front of mind as well too. All right. So just because that Canva has created a template for it doesn't mean you should necessarily do it. So you as the professional educator, please keep that in mind. So for our demo, we're going to start by creating a new sheet from one of Canva's user-friendly templates. And this allows us to quickly set up a professional looking document. I mean, really, it's whether you're using it yourself personally or whether you're sharing it with your students or you're sharing it with a team of teachers. This is allowing you to create something visually stunning that is going to allow you to hopefully be more productive. We're going to add some personal touches to this template, which, you can change the header image, you can change the background colors, you can change it to the school theme if you wanted to. It's all about making this appealing, because visually stunning things are going to make us feel a little bit better about using them, especially if they work well. I think back to when I first was getting into student information systems. You want to talk about exciting things? Um, Student information systems, and I've used a number of them, but the one that I still come back to that I thought was the most visually appealing to me was when I was using Power School years and years ago. It was very pretty. It was, at the time, it was an app. It was actually an Apple product. It's now bought by Pearson, but when Apple owned it, it was actually kind of charming to work in a student information system that was very visually appealing. And if you, like I said, if you've used student information systems, they're not. So we want to make something visually appealing. We want to personalize this. So whether you bring in icons or you bring in photographs or you bring in um, different GIFs, or I should say GIFs, um, or GIFs, depending on where you are in the world, um, visual representation helps clarify responsibilities at a glance. Some people are very visual, some people are very text heavy, but if we think about our evolution, what did we start doing first? as ways to communicate other than oral tradition, we started putting pictures on walls. And that's so visual representation goes back to the earliest part of our history as human beings. We want to possibly link to external documents or slides directly from the cells, keeping everything organized and accessible. And then I want to show you how to expand or collapse rows to better manage the layout of your planner. All right. And if there's any questions as we're going through, please, Allie, Janet, everybody else who's here, please drop those questions in. Katie is keeping up on those. So we're going to try this out real quick. I'm going to switch over to a new Canva section here. So again, this is where we kind of start. Um, as you can see, again, this I'm in Canva AI, but if I'm going to hit the home button here too, it's just so I can get us back to normal. You can see right over here on the left-hand side, the blue, light blue, I should say, button that says Sheet. That's where I want to start. Now, as you can see, now I'm going to just move the Design tab out of here just a second, just so you can see it a little better. This should look very familiar. All right, this is what sheets typically look like, and I'll zoom it out just a little bit here so you can see it a little more. I mean, this is pretty standard when it comes to spreadsheets, but what I do like when I come right into Canva's sheets is rather than hide the design elements, they bring it right up right front because they want you to explore the templates that they have. They don't want you to feel like I have to create everything from scratch. That is one of the things that I love about Canva as a company is they are trying to get you into something very quickly and get you out of it so that you have something very productive. So I can search through different templates here. They do have a specific category for school, and I'm just going to type it in here because you can scroll through and find it. But they already have a number of templates here that are available for us. So when we're talking about our classrooms, you can see, and it might be hard to see just because of the size of the screen, but we've got things like supplies inventory, assignment tracker, class goals and progress, a weekly schedule, a grade tracker, a task tracker, a reading log, um, classroom inventory, activity engagement tracker, assessment rubric, mood. I mean, there's a ton of things here that are already built in. The one that I wanted to start with is an event planner for our class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use the weekly schedule here. And all I'm going to do is just drag it in here. So as you can see, I picked it up. I'm dragging it right over. I'm going to just drop it in. All right. So what I've got now, oh, I need to turn that off, and I want to resize this back to normal because I had it zoomed in for our last session, and it doesn't want to do that for me. Uh, I'll just zoom it out here. All right, so now we can see it a little better. So as you can see, they've already put together a weekly schedule for us with times, with what's going on in certain subjects. Um, I have even photos here for the lunch items that maybe are going around that week. Um, as you can see here, I've got the schedule is goes all the way late into the evening. So think about this as not just an event planner, but I guess that's the kind of a generic term that we're using, but I'm doing this as like a weekly planner for my class. So think about, beginning of the school year and you have a group of elementary students and maybe you're a self-contained class. You don't have bell schedules that move you from place to place necessarily. You can take this template now and come in here and very simply, let's say I don't, our school does not start at 8 a.m. Um, Horrifyingly, we start at 7 a.m. You can come in and make that change right away and start to adjust this schedule as it is. You may say, all right, so we've got this drop down here and it's got all these different subjects. Oh, you know what subject they left out? They left out, you call it gym. I'm going to hit done here. And I can even come in and make a color change to it. So I'm going to make it this yellow color, though it's probably not going to work very well with the accessibility. I think it's going to come up a little light. Yeah, as you can see, it is a little light here. Um, let's make it something a little darker. There we go. It's still light, but we'll use it for now. So as you can see now, I have Jim here. Now I can use the emojis too to add the um, icons here. In that case, I did not do it. Boy, that looks really terrible. But that is where I have Jim located. So you can come in and start to change all of this. Let's say I just don't really need to have the, oops, I changed the whole days. I don't need Saturday or Sunday in here. I don't want to have it. You can come in and now edit the template altogether. You can change it for, let's see, boy, they're looking at the year 2023. Let's say we're looking at the start of summer schools coming up. Let's do it the week of July 1st. Okay. So all of these things have already been kind of pre-populated for you. The colors here may be something that you're not interested in. Let's go with, maybe I want purple. Okay. Maybe I want the text here instead of being black, because black on purple is not a great look. Oops, I don't want to do that. Nope, I don't want to change all the colors. I want to go back to my purple. I want to change the text color. All right. So again, this is taking everything and making it so that it is really easy for me to do. Maybe I want to personalize this specifically for a student. So let's think about where we have students that maybe need a graphic visualization of what their week is going to look like. Because some of your students may require special services, maybe they meet with a counselor, or maybe they meet with a special ed teacher at specific times. And the family says, hey, we would like our child to have their schedule in front of them so they know where they need to go so they can start to learn that personal responsibility. I can then start to take in other things here. I'm going to go to my brand kit here because I've got pictures of myself. And I'm going to start to bring in elements of myself into this. Oh, I don't like that background. I don't like the fact that it's white. I'm going to remove that background. There we go. I've now very quickly, as you can see here, made this a little bit more something that makes me feel like I am seen as a person. Okay. That is really important with what we are looking at here when it comes to sheets. So I hope what you're seeing right away is that this is something that can be very quickly updated, changed, and using the templates they have repurposed. Even if I said let's call it a classroom event planner, as you can see, I called it a weekly schedule. You could change all the text here all you want and repurpose it and call it whatever you want. It doesn't have to be just a weekly schedule. It could be repurposed into again a personal student schedule. Katie, any thoughts on this on how quickly that was or how fast I was able to turn that around?
I first off love that because again, it's just going back to the making your life easier. But I also love that this is something that you can also, like you mentioned, teach your students to maybe make their own student schedule from, right? And they can customize that and know what's going on for them. So I love that it's quick and easy, but it's also student friendly.
Hmm. And think about this too. These templates are not just available for teachers. So if you have students in your class who some are going to be more organized than others, or some may be more disorganized than others, they can start to take a little bit of control and use these visually appealing things to, again, create opportunities to organize themselves and make it look like something that is something for them. So, the start of school, there's a lot of things that we have go on. Typically, we're setting a lot of early expectations. We're setting tones, we're setting themes for the first couple of days of school, especially. Think about as maybe a potential first project of, especially again, as I think of being a fifth grade teacher. I want my students to, again, they're going to be moving into middle school and high school. I want to set the tone that now that they are 10 and they are really starting to become um, much more vocal, they're becoming a little more independent. I want them to take a little more ownership over what their evenings may look like. Knowing that it's not just mom and dad driving me to baseball or softball or basketball or soccer or whatever events that they have after school. I want them to understand and visualize what it is that their time looks like and start to value where they can build in certain things. Like I love playing video games. But at some point, we can't have playing video games for 12 hours a day. You have to have other responsibilities. So think about that as a tool as well in this as well. So, what I would like you all to do is for the next few minutes, I would love to have everybody here take some time to create your own classroom tool or explore the templates using Canvas sheets. Think about designing something practical, whether it's an event planner, a class tracker, the reading log tool. I want you to go and explore those. I encourage you as you are going through looking at these templates to modify or include at least one visual element in here, whether it's an icon, an emoji, or an image. Try to do one interactive feature like a checkbox or a dropdown or modify one. And I want you to see if you can personalize some of the colors or the themes. But remember, you can either choose a template or you can start with a blank sheet. And Janet has a question here. Um, she says, "Oh, thank you. You're doing great. Thank you, Janet, because again, when it comes to spreadsheets, how exciting can spreadsheets be?" But she says, can we use a schedule that we have in Google Sheet and transform it with Canva? Absolutely. You can import a sheet into Canva. And in fact, you can take Canva sheets and export them to Excels. So don't feel like you have to live in one spreadsheet and then copy and paste or rebuild in another. You can take that Google Sheet and just like you can export out a Google Sheet and put it into Excel, you can take now that Excel sheet or that Google sheet and import it into Canva as well. So you don't have to start from scratch. So as we're thinking about this, I want you to take this just a little bit of time. I want you to jump in, play with this little, and again, play is the key phrase. And then when we come back at the end in the chat, I want you to be able to share what it is that you're doing. And Ali asks, can we use the Magic AI to create a template and then modify? Absolutely. We could, in fact, as you all are going through this, I will do a slight demo, if you will, but I'm going to be a little more silent as you're playing to kind of show off what that is. So if you're not comfortable to play, or maybe you're on your cell phone, and gosh, I know when I look at my cell phone now, if I don't have my reading glasses, I'm like holding it out here, and sometimes the cell phone doesn't work too well for that purpose. I'm going to quietly kind of run through and put together a spreadsheet. But if there's something that jumps out at you, as I'm going through and you're like, hey, wait a second, how did you do that? Please stop me because again, one of the things I did not demo yet is the drop down features and how you can use those or how you can bring in the date template without having to type in a date um, every time. So let's do this for the next few minutes. It's already top of the hour actually, and we've got about 30 more minutes here. So I want to give you a little time to play. So go ahead and do that if you're not doing it already. All right. Again, for those of you who did not see this before, we are coming into Canva AI. I want to, Looks like the magic switch is not giving me the sheet that I want, but it did start at least building out the things that I can use for the sheet within the doc. So that is a limitation. Again, Canva sheet is relatively new, just FYI to people. Um, let's see here. Let's go back. I'm going to go back here to my home screen. Oh, there we go. School. See if I can transform. Oh, I got to spell school right. Class goals and process. Need to resize this. Yeah, it looks like at this time, they've kind of restricted down some of the features. Um, let's try Magic Write. I don't think Magic Write is going to do this though that I want it to. Huh, I don't think when I insert, it's going to do what I want. No. So again, some limitations here on what we can do with this. And as I told my audience previously, as much as I am a Canva enthusiast, I don't always have all of the answers, but you all press me to go find the rest of the answers. So um, thank you for asking that question, Allie. It's something that I will have to explore and find a better way to do it.
I did want to just give a quick shout out. Always, whenever you're in Canva in the bottom right corner, there's that little question mark where
Ooh,
sometimes you can ask it for help and or it can help give you a link to like the help center and things. So if you're not live with us and you're working in Canva and you want a little extra help, click on that question mark and they'll try to help you out the best they can. So just a little tip that I like to share as well.
thank you for that.
Mhm.
Typically I go off and just go do a Google search, but
Yeah.
I, I don't think, what, do people really think about using that? I mean, I just put in, I want to transfer this sheet with AI. While not the right tool to transform your sheet directly, I'm sure here to help you. We can use Magic Design to create visually appealing designs. So from the home page, go to the search bar, type a brief description like a report layout for my
Mhm.
sheet, and choose the suggestions and select customize this template. Let's see if this, okay, so I'm going to go to the home page. Oh, there it is, still there. Type a brief description. Now this is in templates. Let's see if it does this. Well, here's a sales territory sheet. Uh, yeah, so there are some other ones here we can look at potentially. Again, don't just because it's a price calculator or a sales contact sheet doesn't mean it can't be modified depending on what it is that you're looking to do. All right, it's giving me some other options here. Thank you for that feedback, Katie. I really appreciate it.
Yes, of course. I just find that sometimes they've been helpful. And sometimes if I feel like there is something happening in Tool that I don't think it should be doing or things like that, that question mark has helped because sometimes it said, it's told me like, you know, this is what it does, but we're working on it, or it gives you a link to the help page that gives you kind of a status update. So it's
Mm,
just a helpful tool right inside of Canva.
okay, thank you so much for that. Now, we're coming up with about 20 minutes left in our session here. Um, I kind of combined two things together, talking about the weekly planner and again, giving you opportunities to play. To the audience here, what thoughts did you have when it came to templates that you may use right away or ideas that you think where Canvas sheets can make things a little more visually appealing. And again, thank you to Ali for your support. It is new, these things advance so quickly, and the Sheets tool is really helpful. Again, we are exploring this all together. One of the things I loved about the Canva Create event that they did, and if you haven't watched that, I highly recommend checking it out. Again, you want to talk about visually appealing. If you ever used to watch Steve Jobs do the Apple keynotes, it was always like very gray and very, it was like, yeah, the products were very flashy, but everything was a very gray color kind of around him. The Canva event feels like a rainbow. The Canva Create event was like very visually appealing. It was very eye-opening. It felt refreshing. Even the people on stage were wearing very colorful clothes. But one of the things that I noticed about the Canva Create event was that they take feedback from the community, I think, very seriously, which is why you are seeing things like Sheets, why you are seeing things like not just can I make one sheet and have to do one file, but I can put multiple different types, file types together in one document so I don't have to have them all scattered around in my projects folder. I mean, like I told the last group, folders are nice, but being able to put things together in a simple one place to get everything is really key. So to the audience, Ali, Janet, to the rest of you, what are some of the ways that you have looked already and said, you know, these are templates I can use right away in my own classroom?
While we're waiting to kind of hear from them, though, there's two that I just want to mention if in case you didn't see it. One that made me really excited was the group project tracker. Because I don't know about you, when I do group projects with students and want them to make me a tracker, it's normally just like a list that says done, and then it like lists three or four things, and it's not engaging for them. They clearly don't put time into it, and it's hard because then I always have questions. So something like that made me really excited because it allows them to really provide it in more of an engaging way so that they're like more likely to go and update it, because I find they would just wouldn't update it unless I bugged them about it. So something like this made me really excited. And then also, like you mentioned earlier, James, those rubrics, making them more interactive. Again, I feel like we'll just bring students back to them more often instead of just looking at something like a document or a spreadsheet with information on there and they're like, yeah, I'm doing the work. But when it's more engaging, things that are on there, I feel like it'll just bring them back to it more often. So those were two that I was super excited about.
The, here's what I like about this group project task tracker that they have. And again, you can come in and modify this exactly as you need, change it, rebuild it, remodify it. What I love about it is if you gave this to a group of students, as much as I am about talking about in education, especially in democratic societies where students can push back. I want students to ask questions. I want them to push us as teachers to think differently a lot of ways because, again, kids have a very different perspective than what we have a lot of times. Um, this type of tool, which looks very much like a Gantt chart. So if you don't know what a Gantt chart is, a lot of major companies are going to use Gantt charts when it comes to project management, getting them used to the idea of not just seeing the whole project. Like think about a science fair. We were using science fairs as part of our last session. Science fairs by themselves to a student is sometimes one of their first big projects that they have to do, or they might have to do like a state project. Like fourth graders, at least in the United States, have to do something for states. Um, Having something like this where it kind of breaks down step by step what kids or students are expected to do. It takes that big scary project that again, we don't want the kids 8 o'clock at night, the night before it's due, going to their parents and going, oops, I didn't do the state project or I didn't do the science fair project. This at least now says, okay, here are the things that we need you to do. And you as a teacher can keep track so that there isn't that surprise the night before if you share something with this with them or they share it with you. Um, this is a tremendous tool again when we talk about empowerment and pushing back and allowing to see where students might be struggling along in the process. That this is something that I think is incredibly powerful. Ali says, I find where I previously used lists with bullets, I use sheets for tables that students find easier to read. Perfect. Because again, when we look at lists, when we look at bullet points in Word documents or in documents in general, so much can get lost. Especially if you have trouble reading and you just look at it and go, okay, this just looks like a big blur to me, and now there's dots everywhere. I don't know what these dots mean. Also using a sheet to create graphic organizers for students. Right now, I use them on paper. Okay, now, Allie, you've got a tremendous tool that you can give a visually appealing and personalized, or have the student personalize this for themselves. And having a Canva version for students to fill in many more, to be more engaging, especially if they can add the visuals. I agree. Again, we as humans are very visual people. Um, the printing press was so revolutionary because it was able to create text and make it in mass. And I don't know why we as a society tend to think that text is the premier way to share information. Um, I used to work with a librarian who used to keep comic books and graphic novels in her library. And when I started as a teacher in 1999 of all times, I said to her, I said, you have comics and graphic novels?" And she said, "Look, James, understand that reading a comic book or reading a graphic novel is a very difficult, complex thing because the text isn't always linear. It's you have to follow the story and follow the pictures, and you're moving this way and this way. And there's, like I said, the text bubbles are not always linear, but it engages kids in a different way. It engages their minds in a different way. So just because text has been easier for us to produce since the 1400s doesn't mean that pictures should take a back seat to expressing ourselves. So again, Canva is bringing back expression in visual ways. Um, any other feedback or thoughts on that, Katie?
I completely agree about the adding more visuals. And as we all know, our students learn in many different ways, and there are visual students out there. So this can really help you reach a whole nother group of your students that maybe you have been struggling to reach as well.
So what I want to do, and thank you for that, Katie, because I think um, getting back to our students and talking about what it is that they need, not do what do we need as teachers. I mean, yes, these tools are available to us, but what do our kids need, and finding the things that are going to speak to them and do it in as quickly as possible. I am amazed that in over 25 years of teaching and working with students, the level of expectations that as tech has come into our classrooms, the level of expectations for teachers and what they are expected to do and what they are expected to produce for each student has, I think, gone up multifold. I don't even want to know how much that is. So, where the Canva tool I think is so beneficial is being able to, again, very quickly get you what you need, personalize it, make it for every student, and let you get on doing the thing that you do well, which is teach. And it's not, I don't want you to think that you're doing any less for your kids or any less for your students by using these tools. You're not. You are empowering yourself to be a much more efficient teacher with the task load that is on top of you. So please understand that I have lived your careers, but I've lived in a different age as a classroom teacher. It is something that I think, again, in this modern age, and especially now because people are going to believe that because of the proliferation of AI into education, that you should do even more. Um, I want you to feel empowered to push back also and say, there's only so much I can do. At this point, this is what I can do. Don't feel like you're being a troublemaker by doing that. That's just my little PSA for the day. What I wanted to do too is just do a very quick thing here where I want to talk about same data in two platforms. So again, we talked about Google Sheets, we talk about Canvas Sheet, and I'm waiting for the lawsuit when Google sues Canva, or Canva. It's probably going to happen. Google's going to sue Canva for the naming of this because they're going to say people are already confusing this. So I don't know if Canva is going to be able to keep the sheet name. Maybe their lawyers already vetted it, but I have a feeling Google might say we use Sheets already. Um, but think of going into Google Sheet and creating a basic reading log or a group tracker. Rows, columns, maybe the conditional formatting. Um, In fact, I can even go in and I'm going to do that here. So I have to change here really quickly. I got to present a different thing. Share screen. Got a new Chrome tab here. All right. So I'm going to go into my drive and I'm going to create a new sheet. Okay. So we're using Google Sheets. Now, again, they do have Gemini now in, oh, I got to show the right tab. Sorry. They already have Gemini embedded in a lot of these things. So understand that that is there as well. Um, but even if I wanted to say, depending on what your school district or your school board allows, um, I can go in and, maybe pull up a table here that I'd used before, or maybe I found a template somewhere online. Okay. But if I don't, I have to come in and literally do like, date, oh, not date, date, name, book, reflection, store. Okay. Yeah, I can get this going pretty quickly here by that regard, but at the same time, it's not going to be very visually appealing. It's still that, that very even in the barren sense, it is not appealing. But when compare this to here, share screen, window, Canva, even if I was starting, oh, I'm not starting basic there. Even if I am starting in a basic sense here, it is already even more so just visually appealing in that sense because again, you have the colors, you have the potential and the prospect of being able to do something a little more flamboyant, a little more inviting, a little more um, exciting, if you will. And you can always change things as well. So reading log, all right, I can bring that in. We're ready to go. Okay, ready to customize, ready to fix it, ready to make it for a specific student, ready to make it for a specific class, however you want to do it. All right. Hopefully, today this has shown you that spreadsheets don't have to be one of these very plain, boring things. Okay. This is hopefully, I think, inspiring you to start looking at and playing with the ideas of what can I do to make my class a little more appealing, to make data and storytelling a little more appealing. Gosh, I didn't even get into some of the other. Let me see if I can do this here really quickly because there are some other tools that I think are important to show you as well as we're looking at some of this. So um, realize that so this reading log, that there are plenty of other things you can do within Canvas Sheets. So one of the things I know that's a big problem is formulas. All right. If you wanted to say average out student grade scores, or you wanted to say average prices, or whatever it is, sometimes you have to understand what that formula is. Um, I want to see here if I can create a formula, and I'm going to just go through here really quickly and create some random ratings. Even though there's no book titles here, I want you to see just how quickly I can do this. 1 star, 5 stars, 2 stars. I do that? Yep. 3 stars. Okay, so I've kind of gone through and I've done all these here. Okay. Now, if I said to my students, hey, based on your reading log, I want you to create a graph representing for me your ratings that you have here. All right. For some students, they may go, okay, I don't know how to do that. And they may get really scared, paranoid, um, feel like the data is against them. But again, we're talking about telling a story. What I can do actually is I can take the ratings here, I can highlight all this. And again, even if I don't know how to do any of this, I can create a formula. And oh, that's not the formula I want. I want, how's it? Now it doesn't want to create the formula for me. Oh, it did create. Sorry. Let's clear that out one more time. All right, so I'm coming up. I have a number of actions that I can do up here. I can generate a table. I can fill the empty cell. So if you wanted to do a lot of just, uh, if you will, create some fake data, you can do that as well with here. We can create, again, magic charts. We can do magic insights. Let's look at magic insights. How am I rating my books? It's going to generate data based off of what I have highlighted here. So again, this is going up to actions in the upper left-hand corner and choosing Magic Insights. This is one of the tools that Canva has just released to help you understand what your data looks like. Again, tell the story and things that matter for you. And they've come up with a generated book rating graph here for me. So I can actually take that and use that now in my slides here to show off that yes, there's three ones that I gave 5 stars, two I gave 4, three I gave 2, three I gave 2. It didn't give me let me see if I can extend this. Nope, it only did 4 columns, but I can edit this now. As you can see, oh, it didn't pull in the 1 star. Let's change that. I can come in here and change the um, legend. I can change the x-axis. I can add the data labels if I wanted to. Um, let's see, the x-axis is the bottom. That is the star rating. And I like how it gave a little visual of x-axis where it has a little line on it. And I can say number of times. And it's already created the increments and the settings. I've got the grids. I can take out the grid lines if I want, so I can have it a little more cleaned up. I can change the color here if I really wanted to. So again, I can make it purple. Let's make the background a gray color so it maybe stands out a little better. So I've been able to create a bit of data storytelling feedback really quickly here. All right, and that's using, again, a feature called in here under actions up here called Magic Insights. All right. So there's a bunch of other actions that you can do here. Bulk create, translate. Again, we showed off the translate feature earlier as well too. So if you do have students who are Spanish speaking or you live in a country where I used Irish, let's translate. I'm going to translate this whole, I want to translate all the pages here and I'm going to translate them to the Irish language. Okay, now I've created a reading log that is in the Irish language. But as always, with anything when it comes to translations, please, 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 if you do have a local translator or group that, like, for example, translates things from English to Spanish, vice versa, um, please check with your translators. Do not necessarily rely completely on what AI tells you is the perfect translation. Katie, I know we've got only a few minutes left, and I was really worried about like, would there be enough to talk about spreadsheets? And I hope that I've actually started to get people thinking more about the opportunities, the potential here. Do you have any additional thoughts for us before we get out of here?
No, my I just wanted to take a few moments to that we're going to start sharing some links with all of you that I wanted to make sure we just kind of mention. Logix is providing and doing what they're calling their year-end EdTech extravaganza. And this is an amazing set of events, both teacher PD and student co-taught lessons with many of our amazing partners. And I wanted just to give it a shout out. Go to this link on the screen, or I just dropped it in the chat, and it will link you to sign up for amazing free PD and co-taught lesson experiences. Co-taught lessons are where you and your students join one of our amazing facilitators and have a lesson together. And you can register for these things and you don't have to join live. You can watch them after the fact. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to that. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is we would greatly appreciate it if you take a few moments to give us some feedback. It's not only feedback for us, but it's also for our funding partners. And those are the people that bring us to you for free. So if you could please fill out that feedback form after every session that you watch and participate in, we would greatly appreciate it. And finally, if you do need some support, please reach out to events@logicsacademy.com. We are here to support and help you. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, James, for this amazing session, because I think it really highlighted spreadsheets and how we can bring them into using them, Canvas sheets, with our students and teachers together. So thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you so much, James. And if you're sticking around, we still have a whole other round of 3 more sessions in the next hour that you can continue your learning with and having some fun. So thank you, everybody. And we hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you all for letting me share and be vulnerable here. I really appreciate it.